right, welcome back to Off the Tap. This week is episode 92, and we're doing Allergees from Panther Island Brewing.
Nice. I like the way that you excluded the use of company, as tempting as it was, because
Yeah,
it is Panther Island Brewing. Also, how anticlimactic is episode 92? I think it's something to be celebrated. That's epic, but also not quite 100 and not a round number. I mean, it is a round number, but it's not a multiple of 5.
no.
Like 92. We're going to make this one important, as we do every episode, because that's just the volume of input that we, the volume of passion that we put into every single recording.
Yeah, exactly.
However, 92 is kind of irrelevant. But back to the topic at hand. Panther Island Brewing, X company. Allergies, a chill American wheat ale. Do you have the stats?
Yeah, it's a 5.7 ABV and
Yep.
16 IBUs.
16 IBUs. So it's going to be fairly... Dude, why are you... Listen, are you poking at the beast? Why is it that you're constantly adding fuel to the anti-wheat fire? You know how I feel about wheats.
What? Oh, yeah. Listen, man, this is,
Don't listen. Okay, hold on. Wait 1 second.
Okay.
Don't fucking pretend like you forgot. Don't pretend like you've forgotten, okay?
No, I didn't.
I bring this up frequently.
You know what? We go out and purchase beers, okay? This is what we do. And
wheat. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go out and purchase.
And I may have purchased a wheat beer, and then this beer was given to me by Lily's dad. So
okay.
I was, I don't know, man. Dude. First of all, we did a horrible job of purchasing beers for this month because we have two beers from the same brewery, and then we have had 2 peach beers this month, it seems.
And some of them have been gifted. Dude, we've been limping along just by happenstance.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of people really just helping us limp along. We have not been doing our due diligence as far as the purchasing of beverages is concerned.
No, yeah, so, we've been getting some free handouts, and we do appreciate that.
Listen, I'm going to give her a go. Just like, because, dude, you never, just like the switch gets turned off, you never know when the switch is going to get turned back on either.
You never know. I mean? You really do. But so it is an American pale wheat, which you did say that, but what's all in it, right? Because we kind of had a little bit of a discussion here before we started about
there's a lot to
and whatnot.
Here. There's a lot to unwrap. So tasting notes, as if you were the brewer. I'm assuming that must be a thing. Like when I was in a kid. Okay, so real quick before we get into the details on this, and I promise you I'll circle back. I see tasting notes a lot. I'm not, obviously I should be more educated considering we're on a brew and beer podcast and we're 92, if anybody call back, 92 episodes in. I'm not as educated in beer as I should be. I like drinking it. I like the way it tastes most of the time. But anyways, there's tasting notes here, and I would assume brewers do the same exact thing. When they're shooting for something, they probably write down tasting notes. Like, I'm getting this, I'm getting this, I'm getting this. This is what I'm targeting, this is what I'm not. But anyways, on the can, it says tasting notes. In kitchens, we used to do the same thing, right? We would have like an all call, right? Pre-service meeting where we would call all the front of the house in and we would run through whatever that night's dishes were, whatever the special was. And we would give tasting notes, obviously, to the servers so that they could describe whether it was specials or whether it was menu items. And so we would all have like highlighted things like, this is the Cioppino, or this is like different things that we were making at this point. The terrine, as far as starters are concerned, this was the terrine and it's going to have these notes, regular, fruity, nutty, whatever. So anyways, there's tasting notes on the can, but the tasting notes for this are honey, wheat, and gold. They seem fairly simple, so they might just be, using that as a category to promote brand here, but honey, wheat, and gold. But it's brewed with local honey from Rogers, Texas, chamomile flowers, and rose hips, which I made the joke upon originally reading. I didn't realize that rose had such voluptuous figures, okay?
We did not know that roses were out here bearing children.
No, I did not know that they had, from a distance, attractive hips, the roses. But obviously they do. I don't know what a rose hip is, but I'm going to Google it right now. And I hope that, fingers crossed, I don't come back with something that I shouldn't.
Yeah, that could be a problem. I think, so originally you said honey, wheat, and gold, and I was like, how in the hell are people tasting gold? What is that? What the hell does that mean? But I think it's because this was an award-winning beer. I got gold.
It was. No, I got silver, I think.
Oh, well, I don't know.
But either way, in 2015 at the oh my God, the Great American Beer Festival, which hats off, yeah, for herb and spice beer, it got silver in 2015.
Oh, well,
I'm all in
whatever.
on,
I'm looking on their website and they have like a screenshot of the can. I can't
yeah.
read what the award was, but it says 2020 gold.
Oh, it does. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. So in 2015 it got the silver, and in 2020 it got the gold.
Yeah.
Dude,
Okay.
which listen, let's put that dude. Kudos, hats off, Panther Island, because after 5 years, not only did it remain relevant, but it also topped its personal best.
Got better
Um,
on a year in a year that, you know, people weren't really going out.
no. I do have a few things to call out though. Okay, by the way, a rose hip, the rose hip or rose hip, all one word, compound.
Okay.
It sounded the same, but if you're reading it, it's a wee bit different. Also called rose haw and rose hep, is the accessory fruit of the various species of rose plant. It's just their fruit, basically. It's typically red to orange, but ranges from dark purple to black in some species.
I did not know that roses had fruits.
I didn't realize either, but
They're not
so
bearing children, they are bearing fruits.
they are. So I'm down. I love floral notes. People, side note, very quickly. This is what frustrates me about coffee. Okay, for a period of time, I kind of went down this rabbit hole of being a coffee snob, and everybody in America wants their generic, dark charcoal black Starbucks crap. And in my opinion, a good bean should almost be lightly roasted and brewed like a tea. A good coffee
Mm.
should almost like a tea. It's kind of crazy, real good coffees. And so they all have floral vibes because they're very fresh and lightly roasted.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this has it in there. One other thing though that I do want to point out before we crack cans and give her a little tasty. Um, Fort Worth, Texas, it's great. Panther Island, I'm pretty sure Fort Worth's landlocked, so I don't know exactly what Panther Island is unless it's an island on a lake. I'm gonna Google it in a minute, and hopefully I make an idiot out of myself. But just from the outset, I don't know what kind of island that's like George
Also,
Strait's Ocean.
if there is an island anywhere, it better have panthers on it. Also.
First off, highly unlikely that you're finding an island in Fort Worth. Second off, that it's going to have panthers on it. This is like a dinosaur. This is like oceanfront property in Arizona that's got dinosaurs on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, I'm going to give her a little pop. 5.7 seems, I don't know, for wheats. I guess that's not that high, but
I don't know.
bro, I'm going to pick a pull from the can first. I just feel like it's worthy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Worthy.
We're not worthy.
We're not worthy.
I
don't get a lot. Go ahead. Did you give her a taste yet? Okay, I don't get a lot of scent out of the can.
Oh, really? You know what? I've been really bad the last couple weeks about giving the smells, man. I haven't given a sniff to these things.
I mean, I get beer, I get a little bit of wheat, but I don't get a very intense smell. What was the other?
Oh,
I get
yeah,
a little
no.
bit of acid in there. Maybe that's the chamomile or the rose hips.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't get much beer. I'm really just getting canned, but I think it's because I might have drank mine down a little bit.
Um, Listen, she's a wheat for sure. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And not in a bad way, but it's to me it's very sweet, very sweet, and that might be some of the honey and the rose hips.
Yeah, it's very honey forward to
Mhm.
me. I'm getting a lot of honey off rip, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for me.
But you know what? For only being you said 16 IBUs,
Yeah, 16 IBUs.
I don't want to say dry. It finishes a little hoppier than I would have thought for only 16
You want
IBUs. Are you
you
getting
want
that?
to you want to know? I'm listen, and this could just be my brain playing with me a little bit now because I know there's honey in it, right? But you know that feeling in your mouth if you just take like a couple dots of honey and put it on your tongue and you
Mm-hmm.
eat it. That
Mm-hmm.
feeling that's left over on your tongue. It's not like a dryness. It's not like but it's not like a gooiness like honey is kind of. But you know what I'm talking about? That kind of like leftover like feel on your tongue after you eat some honey. That's kind of what I'm getting from it.
Yeah, I don't. I know exactly what you're saying, and I don't want again. y'all know I struggle with being offensive when I explain things, but I just try to get granular.
Okay.
It's almost like a what?
Granular?
Granular,
Oh,
very
okay.
specific, right?
That's a descriptive word. I don't think I've ever heard anyone use in a sentence before.
Are you kidding me? Granular, like the parts that make up the sum, the
No,
whole.
I mean I
So it's like,
understand, but what the word means, I've just never heard someone say I'm getting very granular. I usually just hear specific or
oh, well, yeah, specific.
you know.
Specifics good, but granular's even more, in my opinion. Anyway, um, I to me it tastes like like a plastic or I know that sounds bad, but it's not. There's like a plasticiness or a film that gets left by the honey. Like dude,
Yeah,
did you
that's
ever
kind of what
eat
I'm
that?
talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I don't want it to be a negative thing, but that's the kind of sensation that's left on your tongue after the honey dissolves and you eat it. There's like I can't describe it, but it's like a film or a plastic
Yeah.
residue that's left there. I do get that when this finishes,
It's not
but
like
I do.
dry, but it makes your skin kind of on your tongue feel like sticky, so it like feels dry a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for those that are addicted to Hershey Kisses, have you ever eaten like 15 in a row where you just thawed them with your tongue until they dissolved? Okay.
Sawed them
Homework. Well, I'm gonna say sanded them.
like with your the tongue in like the top of your mouth. Like how are you?
Yeah, yeah, just kind of put it in between the tongue and the top of the mouth and go like
No,
that.
no, I've never sanded a Hershey's Kiss. No, I usually just bite them and chew
Oh,
them up.
well, it doesn't happen the first time you do it, but if you do like 10, 12 of them back to back to back to back, after like 12, 13 of them, that same sensation that's on your tongue is what I get from this when it finishes. So,
And it's
do a little
hey,
homework, but
if anyone out there has experienced that as well, please let us know. I'm very interested if any other human being has done that.
yeah, but I do. It gets a lot of honey finish. Um, I get some of the chamomile in there. Not, I'm gonna be like, I don't necessarily see the rose hips coming through. Meanwhile, fucking, I found out 10 seconds earlier what a rose hip was. So I don't know if rose hips. Um, I don't know if I get rose hips. I don't get super. I mean, chamomile. I don't get super floral. But the honey's in there, the wheat's in there. It's not a bad beer. Again, a little sweet for me, but its redeeming quality is the fact that even at 16 IBUs, she finishes with a little bit of a hoppy bite,
Yeah.
and that dryness is way more attractive to me than that of a standard wheat, which is a
Yeah,
soggy sweet bread in a can.
it is good. Also, I'm fairly certain that the name of the beer being Allergees is is that way because they're using local honey for the beer, which
Yes,
everybody
I
knows that if you consume honey from around your area or yeah, from around where you live, your allergies will be like you they won't be as bad during the season.
yes. I didn't realize that till way later on, until some of the maybe some of the older timers. Might have to cut the old folk. But anyway, old timers were like, hey, I don't even know if old timers is less offensive than old folks. Anyway, so some of them were like, hey, listen, if you eat the honey from the bees that are local, you'll be fine. It's a very good sensation that's left on the tongue. I got to call back
It
to it.
is. It really is.
It's, it's,
I keep imagining when I'm eating honey and it's just like going like rolling off of my tongue into the rest of my mouth.
do you think, dude, and I started experiencing it before you said something, but I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Maybe it's just the alcohol content, but it's only 5.7. So
Mm.
it's like it's like a tingly kind of allergic reaction kind of
It
situation in
kind
a
of
good way.
is. Yeah, it's a good allergic reaction. It really is. I'm kind of
Anyway,
into it.
um yeah, so allergy. Okay, I got a couple things for this. So the old timers obviously were the ones that brought that thing up with about the honey, like buy local honey and eat it, and you'll be more conditioned to the allergies that are natural there, which at first didn't make sense, but then like bees blow my freaking mind, so it
Yeah.
does make sense. Um, but I when I saw it originally, I was like, aller. First off, I was like allergies, and I thought it was a gluten-free type beer. Like that's what maybe that's just the maybe that's just the times we're living in. But I was like, oh, it's got to be a gluten-free beer. And then it said wheat ale, and I was like, hard no, probably,
Yeah,
most likely, right?
definitely not gluten free.
And then I didn't even until you said today, like right when we sat down, like pre pod, you were like, yeah, it's got honey in it. And I was like, oh, the allergies makes sense. But I
Hmm.
keep reading it because if you see the guy's hand on the can, he
Yeah,
has like Aussie tats that say bees.
yeah.
And all I keep thinking is, oh, that's the bees, G's. You know what I mean? Because of
The
the way the
B's
branding is.
G's.
Yeah, that's the bees, G's. But Allergees, that's delicious. A chill American wheat ale.
See, and
Um,
the way I say it too, and the way you just said it, and how it's spelled on the can and everything, I think Allergies, like whenever in Napoleon Dynamite when
yes.
he gets slapped across the face.
Yeah, I do get that upper Minnesotan, Wisconsin, cheese kind of feel
Jeez.
to it. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Um, that kind of thing. Did you look up Panther Brewing? Because one thing I wanted to see is like, is this character reoccurring? Because he seems very intricately thought out for this just single can design.
Not from what I can see, but they all have a very similar art style still. This guy on the can here looks like a hippie hermit. You know what I mean?
Yep, that's pretty good.
And also, I'm just now realizing that the honey,
Is a corn cob pipe, but
the
not a corn cob
beehive,
pipe.
yeah, the beehive is a pipe that's in his mouth, which is hilarious.
It's a beehive pipe. He also has some rock and roll, like AC/DC style tats, bees on the
Yeah,
knuckles. He obviously grooms his hair and his beard because there's no way that they would be that.
yeah, but he's been out in the sun a lot,
Oh
a
yeah, yeah,
lot.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
there's not only is he super tan, but there's some wrinkles going on all over the place here. You know what
yeah.
I
I
mean?
mean,
You know
his.
that like that southern Florida tan that you go out and get. Not, you know what I'm talking
I would, s-
about? It's just
I would say
leather.
60. Yeah, I was just gonna say 60% of his skin surface is just leather at this point. He's also
Yeah,
rocking the nose ring, even though generationally I can't quite tell how old he is.
yeah.
You know what I mean? He
He
could
could.
be in his mid 30s, but he could also be like 68. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah. But nowhere in between. It's either that or that. You
Yeah,
know?
you're right. I don't look at the Yeah, that's true. I don't look at this going guy and go, yeah, he gave up on an office career to surf at 48. He teeters there, but he's not. He's either
No.
real young and just weathered, throwback to the old Creed album. I digress. He probably listens to that. Or he's in his late 60s.
Yeah. But
Nothing wrong with being either.
they have a bunch of cool art though. I kind of dig it. I mean
Um,
we've talked about numerous times, especially recently here, about how we like the like standardization of.
Yeah, okay, real quick.
Okay,
Meanwhile,
oh my
earlier,
gosh,
just
here we
okay,
go.
listen.
Oh
I
my
know it was a
god, here
hiccup.
we go.
Listen, I know. Let's dude, calm down. I know it was a hiccup, and you're into word creation. That's great. But earlier, when I said granular, that's pretty well accepted.
Yeah, granular is a word. I understand. I know
Okay,
it's a
all right,
word. I've just never used it in or heard it used in that context.
okay, all right.
Anyways, we've
That
talked about the
Yeah,
standardization of beer cans by a lot of these craft breweries, and we're really into that. But I do like what they have going on here. I mean, it's still pretty standard for the most part.
yeah. I
And
love they have like. Sorry, not to cut you off, but I just want before I forget. They kind of have like significantly better quality robot chicken vibes.
yeah,
If Robot Chicken were a more financed comic strip, I don't even know I don't know what the funding is on on Robot Chicken, but if it was like a better quality Robot Chicken comic strip, that's what these characters would be like. Did you ever read um Captain Underpants
oh
and the
yeah,
Attack of the Talk? Okay, I get kind of those vibes a little bit.
yeah, a little bit. I want to call out
Um,
real quick too before we ever move on here that they have another beer called an IPFNA. Is that Epiphany? Epiphana?
um, Maybe, but I was thinking an IPFNA.
Yeah, maybe because it's their
Epiphany.
IPA. So or F and IPA
It's yeah, FNIPA. Maybe it's
maybe.
a a punchy Imperial IPA. There's a lot of ways for that to be interpreted, but what does it say? A
But
balanced
but the
grapefruity West Coast hybrid that will knock your block off. Yeah,
but they got
either
a
and
they got a guy like uh brass knuckles punching at you, and its tasting notes are citrusy, hoppy, and uppercuts.
nice. Yeah, see, so the tasting notes are a little bit of a play. I bet you
Yeah,
the
yeah,
gold. Now that justifies your comment on the gold
yeah.
now. Um, but dude, so allergies is for some reason I thought, I don't know, in my mind, just based on the way the can, and this is totally first interpretation, just straight observation, just unsupported inference here, that I thought it was a seasonal, but it's not. This is a stay
No,
around for
I
them.
thought it was a seasonal too. I went to their seasonal
Holy cow. Oh,
originally.
I'm sorry. So you thought it was a seasonal?
Yeah, I thought it was a seasonal as well until I went to their website.
Yeah. Which, you know what? I think what it is because of like kind of how, how you think of it. But dude, I'm pretty sure bees are doing their job year round, right? They get a lot more lethargic when it's colder.
Well, yeah,
But I
there's no
mean,
flower. There's less flowers.
yeah, I know, but I mean, even the bee itself, dude, because there's been, I don't know if I've ever told you. Did I tell this on pod about the bees and wasps?
I don't know. Maybe.
Dude, okay,
This is
so
not ringing a bell to me yet, so I'm not sure.
I'm gonna throw this out there because I don't know what the like man, without being like I don't know what the cultural hierarchy of flying stinging insects is. Trying to just delicately like I'm pretty sure that like they fight and they're like
Territorial
racist
and stuff.
towards other, yeah, kind of like towards other flying insects.
Okay.
Oh shit,
Yeah.
dude, you might have, I don't know if you got to
I
cut
mean,
that,
no,
but
no, no.
I'm just
That's
trying
not,
to
I mean,
explain, I'm just trying to explain,
it's a
right?
good
Like
way to describe what you're trying to
certain
say.
certain ones don't like other ones and they just fucking don't stand for them. They just, this ain't a thing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we don't, I will slaughter every bee for no reason and they're just a red wasp. I don't know how it works, okay? But
Do you think it's the
anyway,
same with red wasp and like yellow jackets? Well, yellow jackets, I guess, are bees, right? But aren't there like I don't know. There's black
bro,
wasps, right?
I don't know.
And
And
red
I was always told
wasps.
as a kid black wasps don't sting. Were you ever told that?
I don't remember. Maybe I was never stung by one. I was stung by multiple red wasps.
Me too. And so I just remember being told as a kid that black wasps don't sting. And I thought to myself after a while, like, there's not a reason they would have told me that because they told me straight up red wasps did. Like, I don't know what the reasoning was, but we have gone down a rabbit hole that trickled into a rabbit hole that fell into another hole. So hold on, let me get right back on
Okay.
track to the first off track where we were. So we'll get back to do black wasps actually sting as if it's important because inquiring minds are wanting to know. But so in the winter season, so one time we were like I don't know, man. We were like moving an RV or something. I don't remember, or a bunch of deer stands or something. I don't remember, okay? But we pulled back this tarp off of this like whatever it was.
Yeah.
And this is not an exaggeration, dude. I've seen some pretty big like wasp nests in my life, like big ones, and people used to like collect them too and be like, this is crazy. Like, look how big this is. I couldn't wrap my arms around this one,
Oh my
bro. It,
god.
it was, if I reached out like this, which I'm not very tall, right? But let's just, if I'm taking some liberties, this is like a 5'9" wingspan, 5'7".
Maybe.
Anyway, so this wingspan I couldn't even reach the ends of it. And it was about this thick. So this wide, I mean, wider than the screen. It was about 3 foot thick and 6 foot wide, probably. It was the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh
But
my
the crazy
god.
thing was this. The crazy thing was this, is it had all kinds of species in it. The ones that I think
It
fight.
was the
It,
apartment building
yes,
of
dude.
flying insects.
It had like yellow jackets, black wasps, red wasps. It had honeybees. It had a carpenter bee. It had all kinds of stuff there. And it's because it was so cold.
Yeah,
They had
they
like,
work together.
yeah, they were just like, listen, guys, I know that, foundationally we don't believe in one another's beliefs, okay?
We have to
But
work
we
together
got
to
to band
survive.
together because it's getting awful chilly out, okay?
Band of
And
bees.
band of bees, buddy. So anyway, so I pulled it back and I freaked, right? And Dad at the time was like, no, 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 it's too cold. They're fine. Don't move. They're fine. And we slowly picked it up
Oh my
and
gosh.
moved it and not a single one of them came off of it because it was too cold outside.
Did y'all leave it alone after that? Just set it
Yeah, we
back
just
and
left it. We just left it out there in that pasture and just hope for the best. I mean, obviously we
yeah.
got our stuff out of there, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But it was just weird to me. I've never seen that much of a mixture of random ones that did not move at all. They were
Now,
lethargic.
could you tell if they were all still sectioned off, or were they like intertwined? Like, were there bees living in the middle of some wasps and whatnot, or could you
Yeah,
really tell?
for what I could tell, it seemed like it was fairly random. But like, I also panicked because
Yeah, because you
that
did
that
not want to get
listen,
stung.
in the summer that would have been a death sentence. I'm not allergic, but that would have been a death sentence in the summer, dude. It was a 3 foot by 6 foot sheet of stinging insects. There's not a
Oh
chance I
yeah.
would have made it out of there feeling good. So I
Oh,
panicked a little bit until I figured out, until he told me like, "Hey, calm down. It's too cold. They're not going to do anything." And I'd be damned if they didn't do nothing, dude. They just stayed attached. It was the weird. But anyway,
yeah.
all that being
That is
said, I think
crazy.
that's the only break that bees take
It's a good
is during the
chance.
winter. And maybe it's because like that's what they're building up the honey for. And like how pissed would real quick, how pissed would you be if you think about if a bear built up like an entire stock of food for hibernation and then somebody just came into his little cave hut.
And took it.
Yeah, and just
His
ate it.
little
When he got up, he was a hungry son of a bitch, and he was just like, "Where's my food?" He would hunt you down and kill your whole family. And
yeah.
I think that bees have the right to stay. I think, okay, you know how who is it? What is the movie with Adam Sandler where he's the redneck quarterback, the coon-ass quarterback?
Oh, the
The-
longest yard?
No, 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 no.
You talking about
Where he's
Waterboy?
Waterboy. Yeah.
Oh, he's
He's
not
an
the
alligator.
quarterback.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He's like a linebacker,
He's a
isn't he, or something like
linebacker.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Mama said that alligators are so angry because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush. That's why bees sting, because we keep stealing their fucking honey. That's
yeah.
why.
Yeah.
They need it to live, and we're just stealing it.
I think it's also just absolutely horrible or horrific that bees just get to sting one time and then they die. How horrible is
Yeah.
that, man? Like that's full on protection. Like that is the definition of like protecting your family. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
laying down your life just to make this large person go, ouchie. You know what I mean?
I know, but they don't necessarily know that they're like honestly, if they're dying right away, it's not like they get to stick around and realize that it didn't hurt whatever they stung. You know what I mean? And I just think about I think about all, especially just the way we, at summertime, it was always they would get into like a soda and we would drink them. And I'm like, how many
Oh
lives laid
God.
down there? How many bees laid down their life for a 6-year-old to be inconvenienced for like 15 seconds? That's
Well,
what's unfair,
I feel like
right?
sometimes those bees already were drowned, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh yeah, I mean they went in after that sugar because times were hard. I'd like to taste some of that honey. Just nothing but
The one
Smirnoff
that's just
ices and cheap Kool-Aid vodka
Sonic
mixers.
drinks.
What is that? Ocean water honey? Hell yeah.
Ooh, why is it blue? What is this?
You know, um, so yeah, the fact I'm sorry if we're coming all the way back. It looked seasonal, but it's not, and I can't tell quite exactly why I get seasonal vibes, but
Well, I can understand it because my allergies hit hardest in the spring. So I would consider, like, I would see it and be like, oh, it's probably a spring release. You know what I mean? But, like, I wouldn't, if I saw this in the winter, I'd be like, oh, I mean, I wouldn't be like thrown off necessarily, but I'd be like, oh, then I would understand it's probably a year round because what
dude,
allergies would I have in winter? You know what I mean? At least in my case.
the art is very attractive. I don't think I've ever had anything else from Panther Island, but the art's very attractive. But it is very confusing because, like, when you gave, I told you, man, I went through a whole. I still don't quite understand it. Like, I get it because allergies, because of the bees, but I went through a number of what does it mean? What are they trying to convey? What is it? You know what I mean?
Whoop de doo. What does it all mean,
What
Basil?
does it all mean, Basil? Real quick though, shout out to Panther Island. Go check out and it looks like I mean, it kind of looks. Oh my lord, dude! I'm a big fan of. Oh man. Go check out the Pantera Loco. Did you see that can on their website?
Oh yeah.
The
Oh yeah.
Luchadora? Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
It's a really zoomed in luchador. It almost looks like a South Park character a little bit. If it
Kinda.
was
Like I
like really
said,
zoomed in.
I get financially more stable robot chicken illustration. And
Lager
Pantera
Estilo Mexicano.
Estilo Mexicano. X is not Stio, it's Stillo because there's
Stillo.
only one.
Yeah.
The brunette is like a dark a brunette Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Um, dude, the hazy cat. Saw that?
That's crazy. Yeah.
Dude, I am.
Yeah,
The
whoever's
thing
doing the
is,
art over there at Panther Island needs a raise. I'll tell you that much.
dude, yeah, they didn't, some people, we've talked multiple times about how interns pick up the marketing gigs on
Yeah.
some of these craft brew situations. No, no, no. I think it's the opposite situation. There's somebody who's very, very good
Yeah.
at graphic design, and they happen to be employed by a beer company. Maybe they're graphic designers first.
Maybe, or it's one of their employees that's just insanely gifted, you know?
Yeah. The Pantera Loco, just go check out I mean, obviously, please grab an Allergies, but go check out the Pantera Loco um, and the Hazy Cat because they don't follow the same vibe, but I dig them all just the same.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So they do have, go ahead, keep going. They do have
No,
some seasonals though.
yeah, they do, but they don't match this art style very, very much. I looked at some of them. They match more like the Pantera Loco.
The Oktoberfest does.
Oh,
Oh, but
does
you're
it?
right. You're right. You're right. Did you say no? It doesn't. My opinion. I'm entitled to it.
What? No, I said, oh, it does.
Oh, I thought you said no. It doesn't straight up, and I was like,
That
all right,
a
man,
well,
true.
the cannonball does for sure, and that's a pretty cool. But the rest of them are
Yeah, the
pretty
cannonball.
random.
I mean, I know that we're not talking necessarily just about Panther Island here because it's allergies is the topic of today, but the cannonball gives me oh, who was the Sonic villain?
Oh yeah, yes it does. Yes it does. What's his freaking name, man? I can only think Jim Carrey because he plays him in the live actions.
Is Sputnik? Dr. Sputnik?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a good
I'm gonna go
chance.
Google it.
Good chance that you're nailing it, and I have zero idea.
Sega. Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Dr. Eggman? Is that really his name? Oh, no way. Yeah, it's Dr. Eggman. It is
come
Dr.
on,
Eggman. That is
Robotnik.
yeah, Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah, it's Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik.
Okay, okay. So we were using his first name, which is disrespectful considering he's a fucking PhD.
Well,
You know what I mean?
well, Eggman is his nickname, I think,
Yeah,
because he's bald. I think that's why they call him Eggman.
that's fine. But let's
Eggman.
listen. I don't care if he's a villain or not. Let's
He got
respect the
that. Hey, he
gentleman.
got
You
that
know?
PhD for a reason.
That's right. It's Robotnik, and not Sputnik.
It
That was
is.
the satellite thing that they launched, the Russians. Anyways, we've gone too far off. But he gives me Robotnik vibes, doesn't he? Good
Yes.
Lord. If you
Yeah, he
guys have
does.
stayed this long and listened this long, I know you don't care, but I mean, just go check it out.
Yeah, go give it a check out, ski. We got to get into some Memorial Day things here. Memorial Day's
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
up.
for sure.
We got to give some shout outs to those that gave their lives for us. Amen. You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. And what do I love Memorial Day for me is I don't think I reflect near as much on what I should for Memorial Day. And I don't think that
No.
I'm not making light of the situation. And I don't think that this um, appeases the fact that I don't do that. But it's one of my favorite weekends. And here's why. We've already talked about favorite holidays. Hands down, Easter's my favorite just because seasonally and what you get to eat and all that kind of stuff, right? I like Thanksgiving, but Easter's probably seasonal. I love 4th of July is too hot, but I love the outdoor stuff.
Yeah.
Labor Day is kind of like the Sunday of all seasons. like on Sunday, everybody's like, oh shit, I gotta go back to work tomorrow. And that's basically what Labor Day is for me. I'm always like, fuck, man, we're getting back into the real stretch of just misery. But Memorial Day and and July 4th and Easter are my favorite because I think it's not um unbearable heat, but you can do all the outdoor activities. It's time to play in the water again, because everything's warm enough by then.
Yeah.
Lakes, pools, everything, for sure. And so outdoors, it is around us, it's a little humid and a little sticky, but also it's less humid and sticky than like mid-June, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, and
Well,
so it's like it's
it's
like the
also
first heat, but best.
yeah, it's also the humidity is strongly dependent on, I mean, in all cases, really, obviously, on the weather.
Yeah,
And there's sometimes on Memorial Day where it's not humid at all, and there's
yeah.
sometimes where it's very humid.
I feel like this year we're gonna be ridiculously humid. We need to
Yeah, it's
get into
probably gonna,
ridiculous.
yeah, it's gonna be hot and muggy for sure.
But
Uh,
I think, go ahead.
I agree with you 100% though. I was gonna kind of say the same thing. Is that it's kind of that sweet spot before it gets way too hot to enjoy
Yep.
being outside. But you still can't be outside too. It's that sweet spot, man, where like you can't stay out all day, but as long as you're like you can be out for a long time and go in for a little bit and cool off and then come back out,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's not miserable to be out there for a long period of time, and that's why I like it.
Also, I think it's the first time that the realization that it gets miserably hot and sticky comes back. I think a lot of us forget about how miserably hot and sticky it gets
Mhm.
until Memorial Day. Like we go out, we're like, oh hell yeah, Memorial Day, and then we go out and we're like, it's kind of miserably hot and sticky out here. But you don't, but you're not, it doesn't like taint your ability to actually go out and try to have a good time outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, you're still gonna do it.
Um,
I mean, like we said last week, we're
yeah.
still gonna go outside and do stuff here in Texas. You know what I mean? Like it's still gonna
Right. So
happen.
So as far as like respecting the true foundational existence of the holiday, I think I could grow there. I could do more and I think I should. But as far as like enjoying it and being excited for that time of year, yes. Also around us, I don't know if they do this I don't think they do this everywhere. But around us they decorate a lot with flags. And so just
Yeah,
seeing it's like the fourth kind of, but just seeing that volume of flags makes everyone in the neighborhood happier. It makes activities happier. It makes everything just better, in my opinion. So there's a
yeah,
couple things that are like subconsciously happening just because of the flags and everything like that. Yeah, I don't know. That wasn't a good way to explain it, but seasonally, it's a good shift. It's still enjoyable, and I think a lot of people make the best of the weekend, even if it does have kind of some undertones that are pretty intense.
yeah. Very intense and often very forgotten about. Like you mentioned, I mean, I can't tell you honestly, the last time that I woke up on Memorial Day and I was like, wow, this is what we're really supposed to be honoring. Instead, I
Yes.
wake up and think burgers, hot dogs, and beer. That's what I do. You know what I mean? And it is really sad, but like once you sit and think about it, you're like, man, that is crazy. And it is like you said, it's always funny too because around this time, I always forget about Memorial Day, and then we're driving through town and I'm starting to see those flags go up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what's going on? Are they like doing a parade or something? And then one of our parents will be like, well, it's Memorial weekend, it's Memorial Day weekend. I'm like, oh yeah, crap. Always just sneaks up on me, you know?
And again, not to make light of the situation, you're right. I don't reflect on obviously those that lost their lives for us to be able to do this every day. And again, I'm not making light of the situation, but I almost feel like they would be happy that we were like today we're going to get up and they want us to remember, I would imagine, but they want us to remember, but they would be happy that like we are we associate it. They did that so that we could associate this day with hot dogs, beers, and being off work. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's what they ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not distilling it, but ultimately I think that's what they were fighting for us to be able to care about it, not care about it, or be comfortable with the fact that I'm gonna slam hot dogs and eat beer today. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like I
Do
know
whatever we
that's
want.
a shitty way to say it, but like that's ultimately what they were. the ability to want to do that or not want to do that or want to be respectful or not, or you know what I'm saying? Like that's ultimately what I think that it worked in a terrible way. I'm not doing this
Yeah.
justice, but I'm just saying like it was worth it because we have the ability to do that, right?
How American is it that we're like, what better way to celebrate these people that gave their lives for us than to stuff the worst kind of food we can into our bodies? What more
Listen,
American thing can we do?
there's that, but also too, man, like again, I'm not getting teary eyed or too nitty gritty here, but like just the fact like genuinely, right? In your life, genuinely, and we lived through 9/11. I'm not going too deep in the woods here, but like we lived through 9/11, and that was at a very like, period of my life. Like we lived through all of that. But I don't think ever genuinely, and this is what I try to explain to people that I work with that are overseas, that are in they're also in free countries, so to speak, but they're overseas. Never in my life ever as an American have I ever actually felt scared for my safety as an American. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Like, I've never genuinely feared. I mean, yeah, you run into some shady ass cities where individual people, but I'm talking about from a country standpoint. I've never known the true fear of anything. And that ties back to Memorial Day, right? That's why they did that. So that
Yeah.
someone as stupid as me could never understand the fear of just living life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we're entitled, but I'm just saying like I've never felt the fear that most every other country at one point or another goes, "Oh shit, we probably shouldn't have done that," or "Oh shit, they could do this to us." I have never, as a dude that lives in Texas, ever felt that fear ever. And
Yeah,
so
no.
I think that it was worth it. I mean, not worth their lives, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they didn't do it for naught, I guess. Can I say that? Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
No, yeah. I get what you're saying. And that's very valid because I've definitely never felt it's always been like this is it's like one of people are always like, oh no, World War III is gonna happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which obviously I do not want to happen by
Terrible.
any means, right? We
Right.
don't want that to happen. But I'm always like, man, if someone tries to do something to the US, we're good. Like there's never been a time where I've been like,
Yeah.
oh man, we should probably like start bunkering down. Things are getting serious. Never felt that other than when like a hurricane's coming. You know what I mean? But like in
Yeah,
in the
something.
scheme of like
Yeah,
war or
natural
something.
disasters, God type disease.
Yeah.
That's different ballgame.
Yeah. But I'm like, okay, like someone's gonna try to launch a missile on us. Like we have defenses for that. I'm not worried about
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's yeah. And also like go ahead. We're gonna fight back and beat you. So it doesn't really. That's
yeah.
just very, very, very American of me to think that
I
with
know, and
with no
yeah.
consequence.
We don't have to go down the rabbit hole on it, but I don't know if that's a good or. I think that's a good thing. I'm thankful for that. I'm very thankful for
I'm
that.
thankful that I can feel like that, but
Yeah,
I probably shouldn't feel like that. You know
I
what I mean?
know. I know. That's the other thing in the back of my mind. It's like, you can't become complacent, right? Because that's when fucking shit gets rowdy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, okay. So on a softer, I guess, lighter note, when you think Memorial Day, um, I like outside. I want to be outside, but I don't want to be like dead sun. I want to be on a
No.
porch or a
Shaded.
covered area.
Shaded
Yeah,
with a patch of sun that you can go into
yeah,
if you want to. It's definitely also Memorial Day is also like a water day for me, but it's
yeah.
not that doesn't necessarily mean lake or
Nope.
ocean or river. It just means that there's some kind of water, even if it's just a freaking sprinkler out in the yard to
I
go
was gonna
run
say
through.
a lot of time for us, it was somebody shooting us with a hose or just
Yeah.
running through a sprinkler. But
Or
yeah,
just a water gun from the freaking porch. One of the not even like a super soaker, but like one of the ones that you like push and the water comes out, you know what I mean?
oh,
Like a
yeah.
yeah, one of
Basically
those
PVC
ones.
pipes inside of them. I want to
Mhm.
know. I want to know just like maybe it can't be cultural. Or I don't want to say cultural. I don't think it's even geographical. Like I don't know if I've had this conversation with many people, but like we played in the hose a lot. Did we talk about this? Like, dude, playing in the hose was like a thing. They would just
Well,
like you just go outside and play in the hose. And
but
I
also
don't
we were limited to a very specific amount of time because we couldn't waste too much water, and we couldn't get the
yes,
yard too muddy.
I agree, but I'm just saying like I don't know how many other people that didn't like, do you think people that like, if you were just to pick a subset, a sample set of people from like Utah and just be like, hey, you guys play in the hose? Do you think that they would like be like, yeah, we played in the hose? Or would they be like, what the hell do you mean? They wouldn't use profanities, probably. But what the hell do you mean you played in the hose? Like, do
I
you
mean,
think other people get that?
there's probably a subset of people in every area that have done that. I feel like it's not like the reason we didn't do it is because the reason we did it is because we didn't have a pool. You know what I mean? Like we don't have a pool.
Yeah,
We had the jacuzzi, but like it wasn't filled up all the time. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it would be like, hey, go out. I mean, there was only like 2 or 3 times in my lifetime where we had a slip and slide. And when I say slip and slide, I mean a tarp that's out on the yard.
Yeah, but we didn't have there was a lot of like gravel and shit. We didn't have
Yeah, it
enough
wasn't. There
grass,
was no grass. It was
no
just
padding.
clay. It was clay underneath us, clay and rocks.
Yeah.
It was
Which is
horrible.
not a good situation for a slip and
No.
slide. And also, once you did skirt it, not only was there no longer rocks and clay, but there were stickers. So it
Yeah.
was like not a fun wet stickers or stinging grass. Not a good
You would
combo.
get to the end of that slip and slide and immediately get step on a sticker.
Yeah. And if it wasn't sticking you, it was just making you burn. And then I feel like the water amplifies the burn of like stinging
Yeah.
grass.
Yeah. I also remember vividly one time because of playing in the hose, I took the sprinkler out in the backyard and put it up underneath the trampoline.
Yeah.
And we were me and like two of my buddies maybe were bouncing on the trampoline with the water and stuff. And ooh, mom came out that back door. She was yelling at us to turn that water off. And
Why?
I was like, come on, we're just playing. I was like 10, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she was like, we're not about to pay this water bill for y'all to run that under
Oh,
the
yeah, good
trampoline like that.
call.
Oh
Yeah, no,
man.
obviously that kind of
Because
situation.
here's the thing about summer. I'm sure not just in Texas, but in Texas, this is what we experience. You're running the water so much to try and fight for your life to keep that grass alive and any
Yeah.
plants that you have. So your water bill is already insane. Not to mention the possible extra showers you're taking because you're so sweaty from being outside all the time.
Very
And
good
then
point.
also having children outside wanting to play in the water hose for no reason really other than just it's hot, right?
Yeah,
No. One of those things has to get cut and the fun water experiences get cut.
that is very true. That is very true.
But
But
yeah,
yeah, playing.
for some reason Memorial Day that's like I don't I mean I see like obviously we went on the lake, right? Like we would go on the lake on the boat and
Yeah.
stuff. But for some reason to me it springs like jumping over a sprinkler. That's what I think of when I
Hmm.
think Memorial Day.
If if you had slip and slide, if you had a buddy that had a setup, or
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's a lot of sprinklers, hose sprays, water balloons, if you had that luxury, and then but I'm talking old school for those that are listening. I'm talking the ones you had to fill and tie yourself, which sucked.
Mm.
You just spent like 7 hours filling up a 5 gallon bucket, and then your fun was over in like 35
There's
seconds.
yeah.
But
That was
either way,
that's why well that and the cleanup was why I never did water balloons growing up,
bro,
man.
but it's funny because the kids play with water balloons today, but we had like the rapid fills,
Yeah.
so they went through like 700 to 500 balloons or whatever in like a split second.
Yeah.
But not a split second. It lasted about an hour, which is pretty nice. You'd filling up. You got to fill up in waves, which is
Right.
something that we've learned. But anyway, um, but I just remember like I kept thinking about it. Dedicated, like people that were dedicated to water balloons. I used to think the same thing. I'm like, dude, this seems like a lot of work for not much fun. And that's how you know people were dedicated because there were
Yeah.
certain people, I'm not gonna mention any names, but we had certain people in our family that would just work their butts off to fill up a 5 gallon bucket full of balloons and just enjoy the ever living shit out of them. And then also, like, literally one day later would be pumped up to do it again. Whereas one day later, I was like, I don't know, guys. The juice isn't really worth the squeeze. You know what I mean? And they would just be
Yeah.
like, "Fuck it, I'll do it again." And still to this day, I think, even though they got the rapid fill ones now and they're significantly older, they would just be like, "I'll do the OGs if I have to." That's how cool water balloons are.
Yeah.
Um, but
I
yeah,
don't
so I
know.
get
The old style of water balloons just screams arthritis to me. There's so much going on. Like you're gonna get arthritis doing the old school way. You know
oh,
what I
dude.
mean?
So yes, but also you're talking to a man that within the past 3 days has blown up 2.5 balloon arches. And I don't know if you've ever seen a balloon arch, but it's a shitload of balloons. Way too many balloons. More balloons than you would ever want to blow up. Um, so honestly, the water balloon thing doesn't even bother me anymore. But I do like the rapid fill ones. Either way, Memorial Day, I get slip and slides, I get sprinklers, I get just general water hose play, and then water balloons. It's not a to me, it's not a big pool thing or lake thing, but I think that's just because the way we grew up, we didn't have
Right.
a pool, so we always would if we were swimming, it was in the lake or it was like in the jacuzzi, but not swimming. It was if we were swimming anywhere, it was somebody else's pool, which we didn't go to during Memorial Day, so it was a lake
Hmm.
situation, or we were just playing a random hose somewhere.
Yeah. Get an allotted 45 minutes to an hour in the hose, and then
Yeah. And
then we're
please,
coming inside.
please do it on this section where we have sod that's dying. Can you do it over
Yeah.
there?
Put put it on the brown part of the yard where everything's dying,
Yeah.
please. You know what? Actually, y'all can play for a little while, but just move the sprinkler around while y'all are
Yes,
playing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Also, dude, I always hated doing it on rocks because
Oh God.
inevitably the rocks would then fucking heat the water up and it would just be like being in a steam bath. It
Yeah.
was terrible.
Yeah, that's true too. I find that interesting though. And like now, our family every year does like the giant water slides, which I know um I've known a lot of people growing up that did that as well. And so that to me now has kind of become a little bit of a tradition in my brain,
Yeah.
but still I think more or less, you know,
Just sorry, doing
s-
a color check midwise. You keep going.
sprinkler.
The people that are listening aren't gonna fucking know. Go ahead.
Well, now they are.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Might
uh
have to cut that.
I still think like sprinkler or you know what else too? You know those big like fans that people would put like a hose around and pop holes into the hose so that it was like a mister? I also
Yeah,
think that for Memorial Day.
like a swamp cooler, but not
Yeah,
like a yeah,
but like a homemade one,
yeah.
I think that for a lot of summer things, but Memorial Day is when like you break that thing out for the first time. So I think about it a lot.
Think about it a lot. As much as Conway Twitty's hair, not a chance.
I think
Call
about it.
back.
I
That's
think
early
about it a
on.
lot when I think Memorial Day.
Oh well, dude. I think about like people. You could ask me a question right now of something I would think about a lot. It's pretty much as a fellow Texan. It's pretty much the Alamo and then Conway Twitty's hair. I don't know how quickly, how often you're thinking about, um, you know,
If you're not waking up
the
every morning and remembering the Alamo, you're not
dude.
Texan.
Just Google it, bro. It's perfect every freaking time.
But right after that, it's the Conway Twitty hair. It had to have been a wig, man. It had to
I'm
have
talking
been a
about
wig.
I'm talking about his hair. Obviously, the Alamo wasn't perfect, but
It had
I
to have been a wig. It had to have been.
hello, darling. Nice
Okay.
to see you. Anyways, okay. Side note, that was it. So that's yeah. Memorial Day has a sweet place in my heart because of not only the underlying meaning or the fact that I can interpret it how I wish because of the underlying meaning. That's what I, and then also, um, because of the outdoor stuff. I'm telling you, dude, there's nothing worse than being super super hot or super super humid. Sometimes Memorial Day is going to give you one or the other, but I still think we haven't conditioned ourselves to like hate it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's because it's not too unbearable. We've grown up here. We're used to
Well,
it
and
sometimes, but like when we get into the summer here, like
dude,
4th of July is almost an unbearable experience for being
so
outdoors.
one other thing I forget about too, and I don't remember it being like this as a kid, like a kid, you know, but definitely when I was in high school, dude, that meant summer.
Mm.
Memorial Day meant summer. So yeah, we might. But I don't. Dude, we used to get out roughly around Memorial Day. Nowadays they go till like mid June or
Yeah,
some
they go to
shit.
like
You know what I mean?
like the first week of June. Yeah.
Yeah, but we used to get out either right at Memorial Day or right before or right after or something like that. And dude, as a teen, dude, there was nothing cooler, although it was hot as shit, to be a teenager on a Sunday. Dude, it's Sunday Memorial because we never really did it on the Monday. It was always the Sunday, dude. Sunday, swim trunks, both windows rolled down,
Cranked down.
cranked down. Just everybody's soaking ass wet from playing in the hose.
Oh
Or
yeah.
no, at that point we were slipping sliding, but just driving through town and it's a billion degrees, dude. Just rolling up at a Sonic or something and hollering at your boys, and there would be like some ladies there from somewhere else, and you were just like, hell yeah, what a summer! This is summer.
This
You know
is
what I mean?
it. This is
I
summer.
think I think that's why Memorial Day was also so pleasurable too. Like it was just this kickoff of summer. Even if you had to go back to school for a couple of days, not like you were doing anything anyway. It
No,
was
you
like
were
this.
watching movies, doing like field day stuff, whatever grade you were in. It was there was no that last 3 days of school in public school is the most point. It's literally just so teachers can get their stuff done, and I get that they need they need that time, but it's pointless for the kids to be there. They're not. No one's doing anything. There's no
I would
tests.
Yeah, I would argue that the last 2 to 5 days of school are more useless than a 2 weeks notice at an hourly job.
Yeah.
Just nobody, you're not doing shit. Mentally, no one's showing up. No one cares. They're just moving
It's
on.
more useless than single ply toilet paper.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it really is.
It's the thought that counts, but still irrelevant.
Yeah, like you got to show up and be there just in case, I guess, but nothing's getting done. You know what I mean? You're
No.
going to keep wiping. It ain't. It's never going to,
Yeah.
not doing
Those last
anything.
You're not going to put your mark on anybody with those last couple of days.
No.
It's too late at that point. There's no make or break.
No.
No.
All right, we got to get into the WWYBDs here.
Okay.
Do you have one you want to go first? Or you want me to kick this off?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Send it.
Okay, so for me, I know that seasonally we're drinking it around Memorial Day. I don't get that. And I don't know why. Maybe it's meat. Maybe it's wheat beers, but meat beers. Ugh, something about that
Oh,
just turns my stomach. Maybe it's wheat beers. But I get this is a seasonal change for me. This is like late October, rolling into November. Um,
okay.
and it's the last time well, for us it might be December at this point, but for the rest of the world, it's kind of the last time where you can have some outdoor time in the evening, but I want it quiet. No fire, no nothing. Late night, outdoor, pitch black time, before it gets too cold to experience that, but it's not miserably hot either. You're past August, you're past September. So just chilling out on the back porch, dark, completely dark, no fire. Company, optional. Honestly, I would drink this one alone, honestly. Um, but yeah, that's what the vibes that I get from it. And maybe
That's
it's because it's sweet. What?
yeah. No, it's just that's really funny to me because I'm the exact opposite time wise.
Really? Like
Yeah.
your Memorial Day,
No, no,
like
no.
hot?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, like the time in the day. To me, for whatever reason, this is like a morning beer. Like
Oh, yeah.
this is what you drink when
Good
like you
God.
wake up. Well, this is what I
Is
think,
it?
right?
All right. Well,
Like like
we'll talk about
like
that problem later.
like sun's up. You know what I mean? Like sun's not rising, but sun's up. But you're like prepping meats for grilling.
Okay.
Or you're prepping stuff for the grill, and this is what I'm drinking on the side in that situation. So it's really funny that
Really?
you said nighttime, and I get the exact opposite. I get morning.
Dude, could it be? Because I know people get frustrated that we have fairly similar ratings, which brings us back to the old DNA thing, the old palate
Yeah.
thing. But we always have very similar ratings, but I could not disagree more in this situation. Not that I mean you have your own right to your own WWYBD, obviously, but I
Yeah.
could not disagree more. If I'm doing anything early in the morning, pre brisket, pre smoking pork butt or something
You're
like
taking
that,
a
it's
shot of
gonna be
tequila.
no. No, it's gonna be just a super generic, watery, like Keystone or something like that, or
Miller Lite.
Miller Lite or Bush or something like that. That's what I'm gonna be doing. This has a way more flavor than, which is weird to say because I'm not a wheat guy anymore. But this has way too much flavor to not just be enjoyed. Also, when I think about barbecuing something, I think about something I'm gonna murder 30 of. This is kind of a
Well,
thing.
I'm talking pre-barbecue. You're prepping. You're not doing the cooking. You're not running around sweating at the grill cooking it. I'm talking in the morning. You're prepping stuff, getting stuff ready. You know what I
Okay.
mean? You're just chilling.
Still, I don't get morning vibes at all. This is like, to me, this is like the equivalent of a of an old fashioned, but without whiskey.
No,
You
just
know, this is
just a
this
sit
is an old,
chiller.
yeah, just a sit, chill, wind down, done. Um, no one's around. You can do it in company, but like I said, it doesn't have to be super, you know, pop offish. Anyway,
It's interesting. We're very opposite on that. That's kind of crazy. All right, we can get into the ratings now. I'll go first for this one. Um, Entry, I have a 4. Aftertaste, I have a 4. I think it's pretty solid. It stays really solid. I almost actually like the aftertaste a little bit more. It almost got a 5, but I'm gonna keep it at a 4 because it stays pretty solid. Body, I have a 4 as well. Obviously, it's a honey wheat, but it is sweet, which I don't get. I don't get this sweet from a lot of wheat beers, but it should be sweet. So I didn't dock off too much. So I gave it a 4. Color, I have a 5. We didn't really get a good color look there. We got a little bit of a few sips, but it looked pretty solid and on point to
which you
me.
guys, which you guys were completely unaware of. But go ahead.
Yeah, y'all had no idea. Bitterness, I have a 5. I think this is almost what I would prefer out of a wheat beer, bitterness wise. I think you mentioned it earlier. It is a little bit more bitter, or it gives you that bitter feeling, and I like that
Yeah.
a lot more from this for some reason. Acidity, I also have a 5. I think it's perfectly acidic, almost. Pretty much exactly what I want. Great flavor and all that kind of stuff. And then fizz, I do have a 3. I didn't get a lot of
Really?
burps. I didn't get a lot of burps, and
Oh man.
I didn't have a lot of stuff today that would soak up a lot of beer to make me not burp necessarily. So yeah, that only got a 3, but that brings my total to a 30. This is very, very drinkable beer. It's
Yeah.
very good, and I gotta say, 5.7. It feels a little more to me. I don't know why,
Really?
but I felt it hit pretty quick.
Really?
Yeah.
We're gonna agree and disagree in so many ways, but not of which you expect.
Hmm.
I know that you're probably expecting me to drag this one through the ringer, but I listen. I'm always honest, okay? All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm honest with how I feel when I start. I'm honest with how I taste it, and I'm honest with even if I think I'm gonna like it. Uh, Ode to the Orlay. Sorry, Shiner. It's fucking terrible, right? So,
Yeah.
anyways, this one I thought I was gonna have because I do every column by itself. As soon as I taste it, I do every column by itself individually, and then I don't tally till the end. And I looked, and I almost had 4s all the way across. But here we
Yeah.
go. Entry, I have a 4. Aftertaste, I have a 4. I do feel like it could have been a 5, but I feel like I left it at a 4. It does have a better aftertaste, I think, because of the mouthfeel.
Yeah.
Body, I have it a 4. Um, just again, good mouthfeel, good finish, better than standard, but not. And again, this is a wheat for me, so this is take that with it. This might as well be a 6 probably for other people because 4 for me is tough. Anyways, color, I have a 4. I think it was a little more gold than I would have expected, but also cleaner because sometimes wheats get real fuzzy and nasty.
That is true.
Um,
That is true.
bitter Bitterness, like I said from the very beginning, which is why I think I like the aftertaste more, is a 5 because it does have more bitterness in a good way. It finishes more bitter than at least I would expect from a 16 IBU. Acidity, I have it a 4, and then fizz, I have it a 4. I thought, I mean, I had enough burps, I had enough like bubble from it, I had everything that was fine. So I have it at a 29.
Oh wow, okay.
Which is crazy because I would have expected a wheat to be less. It is a little sweet, okay?
It is sweet from the
It
honey,
is sweet.
clearly.
But I mean, even for a wheat, I mean, I don't know. I guess even non-honey wheats, I don't know. I don't think it's more than a regular wheat though. They've infused honey without being sweeter than a regular wheat, I don't think. What
Oh
do you
yeah,
think?
no. Yeah, it's you're saying like regular wheats are also really sweet.
Yeah, like this isn't any sweeter than a regular wheat.
To me, it's a little bit, but it's to be expected because there's honey in it. Not all wheat beers have honey.
Yeah,
It's sweeter in a good way to me. You know what I mean?
I got you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely had more of a better fizz experience than you did. Even though I would never drink this in the morning, we differ there. But damn it, our scores kind of were close again. But dude, facts are facts. We go organic. I don't change anything.
Yeah. I don't make changes. The only thing that I change toward the end is my fizz. Sometimes I put the fizz like high up or low in the beginning, and then
Yeah.
they start to hit me, and I change my fizz toward the end. But that's about it.
But just so that I can jump ahead because you got the jump on ratings and I had the WWYBD, but I would definitely do it again. I don't know how readily available it is to get, but I would definitely drink it again. I will recommend it. Now, I listen, I will recommend it 100%, but I will recommend it with caution to those that are not wheat drinkers, even though it kind of broke me today. Um, because I think it is a true wheat and I think it
Yeah.
is sweet. Um, and it's not a fridge sitter. I know I only have the 2, but it's definitely not a fridge sitter either. So,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
definitely not a fridge sitter. I would get again as well. Also, ironically, I feel like this is one of those ones where I would be like almost a little bit reluctant to share it, right? Like if I get a 6 pack, if I were to find a 6 pack, because I haven't found it here. I've never seen it here,
No, I'm
right?
headed to Fort Worth tomorrow, but yeah.
And so if I had a 6 pack of this and I was like, man, like I mean, y'all can like split one to try, but I kind of want
Yeah.
to keep these around for myself. You know what I mean? It's one of those. I'm not telling my buddies to go grab one.
Yeah, and also too, it seems like a lot of work goes into the can. Like, no offense to any other brand, everybody puts work into their can, but like every single one of these seems like somebody spent intricate amount of time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
Like,
know they didn't draw it on each individual can, but it feels like they
no,
did.
but it
You know?
does, dude. That's the thing. It feels like every single one of these was hand done, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I know it wasn't, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Anyways, it's way better than I would have thoughted. Yeah, move on. Sorry.
I won't run you through the mud like you did to me earlier.
Okay. It's way better than I would have thought for a wheat. I was expecting me to immediately be like, nah, too sweet, too syrupy. I'm out. It's not. It's sweet, but I don't get the syrupiness, and I think it's because it's got a little bit of floral and it ends with the hoppiness. So
Yeah, agreed. Before we get into the social media stuff, real quick, I want to let everyone know that we're coming up on a time period that's going to be real rough for both of us to get together to make some recordings happen. So there might be times where we have some breaks in between episodes, but we will get out episodes when we can. So just hold on and stay with us if you can.
yeah, I think we should definitely share what we happen to randomly be doing. I have a bunch of pictures of random things that I've come across. We've talked about at length how guilty we feel trying delicious things off pod, but we still have a tendency to do it. At
It's
least
hard
I
not
do.
to. It's hard
I
not
know that
to.
you do too. So maybe we can throw some of that out as well, like as it happens, because there are some really cool beers that we do run into that we don't necessarily include on pod. That we do, promote people going out and trying. We don't. I will say this: we don't necessarily include those photos in some of the social media posts if we don't care for them. So you're not going to get any bad ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, look forward to some of those as we come upon some dry weeks, if you will.
For sure. It's time on the podcast. We're going to tell you to go follow us on social media on Twitter and TikTok at Off the Tap Pod, and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Off the Tap Podcast.
Jeez, 92 already?